Hello and welcome to HyzerCast episode 13. I'm Dave, here with Joanna and Lou. As always, thanks for joining me. Thanks for all of you watching and listening on our podcast episode. So this episode we're going to be talking about disc technology. First we want to start with a viewer suggested topic. Will technology or skill limit distance first? So basically discs and the equipment that we use have come so far between the plastic and the molds, have improved distance greatly over the last 30, 40 years, but of course the skill level of the players who have dedicated themselves to the sport have also increased. It's kind of a race to see who tops out first. So the question is, which will hit the distance limit? Which will be the first thing to cause it to stop increasing? What do you think?
I vote Joanna to talk first.
I don't know.
Right
I think this is really hard.
Yeah.
I do think that the throwing form is where it is right now. The top level pros, I think, it's beautiful and it's compact and they get so much speed and torque. I don't know if form will really evolve that much. Like, I don't know what could change to get further distance. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like if you try more, you may injure yourself, and then that's it. I mean, sadly, we see, Eagle McMahon, like his shoulder was dislocated again, and he's out. I mean, but he was the power forehand thrower.
Right.
I mean, like, he kind of, I don't know, forged the way with, like, such a big forehand. So, I mean, maybe it's, I hate to say skill, but maybe it's actual body limitation before disc changing technology. Like, I think we can have unlimited numbers of molds and tweaks here and there, but I think body probably will limit it first. What do you think?
It's easy to see what the advancements in technology.
Yeah.
We've evolved, and
Yeah.
it's taken us so long. We kind of are what we are, so we're not going to just wake up one day faster, stronger than we really can be. I think we've caught up in a great sense with being able to see what a good throw looks like and how effective it could be on a golf course. I also think that if you were to look back at the original distance throws with lids and frisbees, that looked nothing like a distance shot thrown today, but yet still they were throwing over 500 feet with technology that I feel like I can't get to go 400 feet with the throw I know. So yeah. I think the throw has evolved with the technology of the disc. I think the shot that we have is pretty close. I think what we're going to see is still a little bit of growth in distance with the current technology because there's still generations coming up with the knowledge. I don't know if we've found the apex of when somebody should learn disc golf, for example, and start training, and throw counts is a new thing, and that should be very important, just like pitching counts. So evolving the thrower could be a little different, and it's still slightly untapped, but we're still going to see advancements, I think, more so with the disc. So the wall will come with us sooner than the technology of the disc will.
Gotcha.
That's what's going to limit us first, is just us. They're finding out now there's almost nothing we could do in terms of perfect height, size, muscle, fiber, tension, all this stuff for a pitcher in baseball. Like, their apex is almost the speed that they're at. There's nothing that we can humanly do to perform better.
All right.
That's the wall.
Right.
I think we're getting closer to that, and we're going to be the first thing that taps out people.
Yeah. So we agree.
Yeah. So nice. Is this the first time ever? No.
And that's episode 13.
We're on a good note. We're gonna end it there.
That's it.
So we think maybe it's not necessarily skill of the players now, but it's the physical limits of the human body, right? It's the development of young players all the way up through their peak performance, whatever age that may be. Where we're not there yet, but we're close. But we think that maybe disc technology, plastic and mold and things like that, there's still a lot more room to grow there. Is that right?
I believe so. I think.
Yeah, why not?
That's why these companies are out there. They're not looking to just go with what's good for yesterday. They want to know what's good for tomorrow.
Right.
So it's really cool that there's a lot of large manufacturers out there still striving for the best disc. That's awesome. And not one company is doing it alone. They're all doing it together.
Right.
So
Totally.
I'm always excited for a new plastic. I was just thinking about I had some chameleon plastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it does in terms of producing better flight or more distance per se, but like that run of plastic is going to come and go. They're going to look for a new technology somehow with what we do, and it's exciting. And hopefully, in some ways, the technologies that they find, mold shapes, all these things, toolings, will produce this ultimate distance one day.
Right. So what about something like MVP with their gyro technology? It's not just a different plastic blend. It's not a new shape mold. It's literally kind of fundamentally a different weight distribution of a disc.
Yeah.
Claiming to throw, 10% farther. Do you think something like that, whether it is MVP's discs or something like that, will be like the next big step? Or do you think it's going to be just slow increments of fine-tuning plastic blends and mold shapes and things like that?
I think it could be a perfect accident.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we got here by accident in terms of playing disc golf. The whole game just started growing off of someone's imagination.
It's true.
So, yeah, one day we're going to find this perfect material that works with us, with our physics here on planet Earth, I guess, where, we have
Vibranium.
we're dealing with gravity, and gravity, we're against gravity all the time, so weight matters. Weight matters with, holding its inertia, its momentum and everything. So
Right.
once you start taking away the disc to make it lighter, you would think, oh, better performance, but it's not that simple because it needs the mass to maintain itself. I'm no scientist. That's the disclaimer here. I'm
Science
no
with a Lou.
physicist or engineer of any sorts, but
We need Calvin Heimberg in this
yeah,
conversation.
well,
We're going to call him up right now. No.
I'll take a chemical engineer degree over not having one at all.
Well, yeah.
For sure. Because, but yeah, I think there's gonna be just like this, who knows, something that's durable, safe, lightweight, but allows us to put an edge on a disc that allows it to penetrate cleaner than anything we've ever thrown before. Dave Dunapace wanted to push his molds when he was Frisbee guy, and he went out and did it himself and created Innova Champion disc. And I think you can find interviews where he talks. I've probably heard it a dozen times from him, where he envisions the game still being longer than what it is now. It's not just the game it is. He still envisions a larger game.
Wow.
Now, is that with us throwing aerobie rings or something like that? 3,000-foot par fives?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where the good balance is. We're close in all respects, but I still think the technology of the disc could keep pushing forward.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think that will ever stop because
Hope not.
that's what can evolve, and I think that's what makes it interesting to tinker with, even with molds that already exist. Like, what can we slightly change? What weight distribution can we alter here, and what does that affect? Like, it's too fascinating to stop discovering. Like, I mean, once you stop discovering, I think it's dead.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's, you have to stay inspired, and that's really one way to do it.
Sure. So definitely with the technology of the discs, we think it could be leaps and bounds higher. Maybe slow increments, maybe some random assortment of the right place, right thing, right disc and plastic at the right time. And we said physical limits of the body may be being reached. But what about the potential for more efficient use of the body, right? Eagle McMahon just cannot throw any harder or his arm's going to fall off. We already realized that. But what if he was throwing it more efficiently, less stress on the body, right? So the point I'm getting at is other sports have like coaches and more training aids and things like that, that you're not just throwing it as hard as you can. You're turning your foot 1 degree more. You're starting this much little bit sooner.
Sure.
So small increments of efficiency getting to the peak performance to throw more distance. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think before we talk about form, I think, we see with Disc Golf Strong, we see like programs of conditioning tailored towards these movements, which is not something, well, I don't know. Did people think about it a lot before? Like, I don't know, but now there are warm-up areas and cool-down areas at, Pro Tour events. Like, that's huge to maintain body muscle health and stamina and everything. So I think before we can talk about even finding a more perfect form, like, our body has to be ready to perform these movements, because you're never going to be at peak form if if you can't rotate well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like not chicken or the egg kind of thing, but
Right.
you have to be ready to do it. And actually this I forget when this was. I was talking with someone, but we were talking about someone younger, like, you know, in their teens. They're like, oh, well, you know, those young ligaments, like they can really hold up to be throwing these things. And that actually got me thinking, right? Like you mentioned a little bit ago, what's the right age to start people throwing? And, you know, you look at, I know we talked about Gannon Burr earlier. It's like he's so young and has such amazing distance already, and his body is young, and it bounces back so quickly. Like, I wonder what it will be like for him, let's say in 10 years. Like, is he going to be the distance record holder? Like, is his body going to be so used to this movement that maybe isn't supernatural for everyone?
Right.
But, like, it's been a part of his, I don't know, like, body
Through
routine for so many years.
Up,
and, like, playing on an elite
developed.
level. Like, it's interesting, but I know you were talking about form, but
no, it's okay. That's part of it.
You know,
I think it's all part of it.
Yeah.
And Dave's topic and what you're talking about is a little bit of what I was first speaking about. Having all this idea of coaching people into the good forms and the good habits and the things that are going to help your distance and accuracy. I think they go hand in hand. It's not just sheer distance, but if we are talking sheer distance too, it doesn't matter, I guess. But yeah, being coached into what is good technique. Just going out and throwing as hard as you can is proven it's not what it takes.
Right.
You can throw as hard as you want on your first, second, third, fourth try. I guarantee you're not going to feel good tomorrow. Yeah. It's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So being coached and growing up that way, like you're saying, Joanna, like your body's growing into that.
Right.
You're getting older and stronger. You're in your young, you know, adolescence, not too far out of like the whole puberty thing, being at 16, 17 years old, and then going into your 20s and still growing muscle mass, and your body is still growing into an athlete.
Right.
In that age, man or woman. So being coached from an appropriate age, watching pitch counts, looking at your form, tips on how to follow through, what to lead with in an appropriate way for the longevity, all that. I think we're going to soon see what is the apex of the player, where the tour standard is nobody on tour is really throwing less than 500-foot drives. That becomes the new norm.
Yeah.
And I think the game is going to have to adjust, and it will. So yeah, that's very beneficial to the game to have that. That's the thing helping us get to that potential is keep pushing that knowledge to the next generation out there. And until you have somebody who's living it out through what we could see is all that good advice through the generations. Like Gannon, for example, Gannon Burr is now a recipient of all that good advice and able to play the game at a very young age and get advice from people who are throwing the furthest in the world. It's accessible.
Totally.
That needs to catch on for more than 10 years before we could really see it.
And also seeing like YouTube videos of form and form breakdown and really that compact, almost perfect form that we see now. Like, that wasn't available 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, and you brought up Eagle's injury.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever see a slow...
Well, whatever you did, I did.
You
Somebody
did.
Somebody
I referenced her. You
about
referenced me. It's all right. That way.
Anyway, Eagle's injury.
Left at Albuquerque. What were you saying?
Eagle McMahon. He. Did you ever see a slow motion of his forehand?
Oh, it's wild.
I can't
it
make my
scares
arm
me.
do
Like,
that.
Nope.
My arm doesn't do that.
No, I don't.
Elbow first, wrist way behind. No wonder why
I seen just quick side story. Texas. This was not this past year, the year before. I seen Eagle warming up into one of these nets, and he was throwing lefty forehands. Very well.
Lefty forehand.
Very well. Like better than I can throw a righty forehand. That's what he does for a living. The guy's good, so.
That's so
you never
cool.
know when you're going to have to reach out to a lefty forehand around a tree.
He could do things that a lot of us can't, and I wish him a speedy recovery. You know, we're going to miss him playing for a couple weeks, but he'll bounce back.
I wonder if he'll be back this season.
You think it's season?
I don't know, man. For another dislocated shoulder, like, is it worth it to push to get back? Like,
maybe he'll just play lefty.
It's already May, right? So
I'm not doubting that. The lefty thing, if that happened, I don't know. They should allow you to restart your PDGA membership if you
As a
if you
lefty.
go straight switch on everybody. Just go.
Or after Tommy John surgery.
Right. I moved all my muscles from this arm to this arm. I'm good.
Oh, nice.
Tommy John transfer surgery.
There you go. That's
Take my left thumb. Yeah.
What a time.
That'd be cool. So we talk about like all this, the progression of growing up and building up all the young guys again, and in 10 years he's still gonna be kind of at his peak of muscle growth, things like that. What about the guys that are already in that maybe didn't start when they're so young, right? Eagles, one of these guys 2 years ago he was the young guy. What about the guys that are, towards the second half of their career? How long do you see them playing, and what do you think that was in terms of them not knowing how they should be treating their bodies?
Yeah. That's interesting.
I think what they have on everyone else is just sheer experience and mental fortitude. And I think, like, Paul Macbeth will continue to be very dominant because of his ability to grind. Like, he can just pull out a scorcher round when he needs to, and like the fact that killer instinct exists within him will keep him dominant. And I know we're talking about physicality, but like I don't think that the current greats are just gonna poof go away,
right?
Because
some
other
young
people
guns
can
started earlier
throw.
than them.
Yeah, like. Because that is a skill in itself, to build and learn, like to grind on tour, to really be able to live that life. They have that experience. And you have to falter for a little while and figure out your rhythm before you can really be dominant like a Paul, like a Ricky, I mean, it doesn't just happen. So, but I mean, physically, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see what their bodies do and how they hold up in, let's say 5 years from now, like, are their bodies still going to be in peak condition? I don't know. No one knows.
Right.
I don't think we have really, like, examples of this.
I'll use my examples of what I've seen from just, like, older coverage, not even severely old. We'll talk from, like, the late 90s and the early 2000s coverage. There are so many people that were playing that were young that I know stuck with disc golf until their 30s or almost 40, and then they were done. Some of them pushed on and continued to play, the Cam Todds and stuff like that. And the game, like, they were calling him, what was that, the Ageless Wonder, when he won the Glass Blown Open the 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because he just played so super well. He played his game, and he actually probably didn't feel like he did anything special. He didn't get in his way and had a great round. The course designs aren't really meant to just be for the apex distance throwers. They're still course designed to play the game. And I think that if you grinded at an early age before you had all this knowledge of how to take care of your body and warm up, stretch, and good technique, I think you dogged it and you had bad shoulder days and there was no K-tape for you. And you either loved the game and stayed and found a way to do something else, design courses, become a part of the media crews that have grown. You were able to pass your stories on to disc golf and be a part of it still. Some people, like I said, got to that point and just stopped. You don't see or hear anything from them. There's countless champions in disc golf that have won insane big tournaments, and there's stories that have happened that we barely just know, and that's what happens now, where disc golf is just a bigger thing in a whole. The player, the athlete could be healthier, they could be promoted, they could be a part. It's more of the it's inclusive.
Yes.
Disc golf. So disc golf wants to use the people who are involved in the game and who have been touring and have been playing. There's players now that I wish I could see be out on the course playing. I wonder how they would do. Nate Doss. It's the first name I get not sick of seeing Nate Doss doing commentaries at all. I want to see Nate Doss on a course playing because I've seen the guy play live. I know he's still freaking got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, that would be cool.
and
That really
that's
would be
and
cool.
that's the age group. That's the person who wasn't really getting anything but like the older guys giving you advice, maybe, you know, like that's how
Right.
they learn disc golf. This generation is getting like the AI version
Everything.
of disc golf. It's like
Yeah.
it just plug in and you learn it. And,
Virtual simulators in Lou's basement, things like that.
Right, well,
Yeah. Well,
it
yeah.
wasn't virtual. It was a real
Oh,
disc
sorry,
golf
excuse me.
simulator. Thank you.
But that was awesome. Yeah, it would be awesome to see these guys if they had all the training tools that these young guys have now.
Would they still have been in? There's some people that have stayed longer than others.
Right, they would probably stay longer. Maybe they would have even more success than they already did. Right, we're talking about the top of the top back when, but now maybe there'd be even more. Maybe the sport would have even grown even faster because more people could have been that competitive.
Sure.
But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about, you know, back to present day, the young guns and even the guys that are just in the age group competing. Some of the technologies and tools that they're using to enhance their game, right? So the first one that we wanted to bring up is the disc golf glove, the grip glove, right? So there's been talk about whether it's, you know, gonna be outlawed by the PDGA or not, but we'll just pretend right now it's okay to use. What do you think about using a glove? Do you think it would help you? Do you think it should help other players? What are your thoughts?
I think it's totally fine if that's your prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to do anything to make you better. I think it's going to give you better grip at best. And, you know, I'm someone who seasonally has to go through this callousing process out of the winter time on my finger. But if I get older, maybe it's more affecting my finger, and I might want to play with a glove coming out of the winter and the spring month while I warm up, so I don't have to deal with that every year.
Yeah.
But who knows? So far, not for me. I'm afraid of the change. I always have 1,000 questions when I see somebody with it. And like I'm always hoping someone's like, "You want to try it on, bro? just you want to go for a throw with it? Just one
So
time?"
guys, next time you see him,
Yeah.
offer your
Offer.
glove.
But that's probably the one thing in disc golf that always strikes me as a curiosity is the grip with the wet surface. And these gloves, like they advertise that they're great for moisture conditions, whether it be rain or just really dewy, wet grass where it's just going to be that type of day. Your towels are going to be shot no matter what.
Or super
Yeah.
dry, windy days. Sometimes it's the opposite.
Sure, or
too
humid
dry.
days. Humid
Right.
days, anything. It's going to give you a consistent feel on your disc without care, which is it's a cool tool. I don't like the game in that way. I like the feel of the hand on the plastic.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I also struggle with wishing there was a premium plastic with a great texture still when it was slightly wet.
It does seem like it's one
Yeah.
or the other. It's
You
good
get the
grip or a premium plastic.
Right.
That's interesting. And it's kind of all across all manufacturers, kind of the same too.
Yeah, so but the thing is, like, you don't see a lot of people playing with gloves. They can.
Right.
Right. It's probably
Is
a
it-
newer technology. Maybe it's Fringe,
Ultimate uses them.
Ultimate. Right. I
Do-
think
I
that's
guess-
probably where it came from.
Are they catching glove like for catching too? Because like
Probably.
I only think disc golf. I think
Right. It's like
just
a
for throwing.
a
I-
receiver
Right,
in
right.
football using the gloves. I think
So
that's
they-
probably where that came from.
So if you buy a disc golf glove, are they just going to ask you which size, or which side, left-handed, right-handed glove? But they're really just buying Ultimate gloves and just
Yeah.
splitting them and giving you one or the other.
I mean,
I guess that's
genius
a
business
business,
strategy.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I
that
think
works.
is this a pyramid scheme?
We're on to you.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, gloves. How about shoes? I think that might be an untapped potential for. We were talking earlier about technology in disc golf. I think it's, you know, there's our disc golf shoes. Sure, one. I think it's a big opportunity for brands to bring money into the sport, but also the development of, like, I know in other throwing sports, like in high school, shot put or discus, not disc golf, had specific treads for spinning and turning, where a lot of disc golf shoes, because you also have to walk and do things, are just grippy, right?
Just terrain shoes. All
right,
terrain
but
shoes.
off the tee, maybe there's a certain tread on a shoe that could ease in the rotation of your throw, or things like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it's really interesting. I mean, we do see a lot of brands coming up with new shoes, with new brands,
Ideo?
even too. Yeah, Ideo. I mean, you see Adidas too, the Terex. Like a lot of people wear them. I know that's not necessarily super disc golf specific, but kind of is.
Right, they're just coming
Radio
out with
for
shoes
sure,
for
like-
disc golf, but are they really specific for?
Yeah, because
the-
like when you
I
throw.
wonder, like, if we were to have really standardized tee pads, if that's when a more standardized shoe will come out. Because I mean, you feel a different rotation if you're on turf. Are you on grass?
yeah.
Are you on a paver? Are you
That's
on
very
flat
true.
concrete? Are you on, like grippy concrete? Like, that's a different feeling. And so how could that same tread
Yeah,
be, like, as useful in all of them?
I know, but the disc golf terrain is also changing. Every hole is different. Some are grassy, marshy, sandy, rocky.
Yeah.
Right, that's where it'd be hard to be off the tee because you cannot standardize that.
Oh, yeah.
So you have a different shoe. You change shoes after you tee off.
No, but I'm wondering, like, if at least one aspect was more standardized, like, if then you could have a better idea in design.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, you
But-
can't control the moisture in the grass or, like,
Right.
how thick the grass is or whatever, but
But the tread should be able to rotate through, right? But
Mhm.
also cause a grip once applied
Right.
pressure.
Something like a certain shape
And
that
I guess
lets you stop.
That
and
would
then-
all just promote less torquing of the knees, the ankles, the hips, and it all
It goes
just
back to
kinda gets
longevity
stems up.
of your body. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, a good shoe could go a long way. Me, just not even to do with disc golf, just me in general. If my feet are uncomfortable, like if my feet are wet or cold, I'm shot. My whole mood, my whole energy, I'm drained. I
Take
don't
care
know.
of your feet.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like if I'm cold,
they have to carry you through life.
Look at
yeah.
her. Look at this.
If I'm cold, it's one thing, but once my feet get cold, I need to get warm. I'm done
Yeah.
doing whatever I do. So if you
Yeah.
have a good, dry, warm traction shoe, Idio, we at HyzerCast would love to try it.
Wink.
Yeah, but really, there is
Wiggles.
nothing worse than a wet shoe.
Yeah.
And, like, feeling that as you walk.
Worst thing with the
Gosh.
disc golf shoe, I think, is that they just don't really feel very good after you start pushing them to their limit of
Oh.
getting them wet. The Keens, the Columbias, the Vibrams, the Solomons, I've owned them all.
Mm-hmm.
I've owned Sketcher brands. I've thrown away Pumas. I've done everything to wear something on a course. And that's the worst feeling. When you spend good money on a waterproof shoe, and the first round and the second round and the third round, they feel good, but then something happens once you just get them too wet. They just
Yeah.
feel like an old shoe.
And then Calvin wears
'Cause they want-
Converse All-Stars and
Yeah, you
throws
just,
off the
doesn't
side of
matter.
his foot.
Oh,
Right,
but
right.
he's not the first one to throw in
Right,
just shoes, because
exactly.
Yeah.
when you're how tall is Calvin? 6 what?
Tall.
6'5"?
11'6".
65 feet tall, 6'7". I mean, he's a tall individual, and he throws with all his, all he can. Those shoes aren't lasting.
Oh, yeah.
No
So
way.
what's the point in investing in shoes? It's not, this isn't 1850. You don't go to the, shoe cobbler to get your shoe repaired when you burn a hole through the bottom of it.
If you do them
They're
in
just-
the wood.
I mean,
so.
there are cobblers.
My grandfather was one.
Oh, wow, really?
Yep, he
Fun
came from
fact.
Sicily. He came over in the boat with my mother, my aunt, my uncle, my 2 aunts, and my uncle. And, oh my God. Yeah, he was a shoe cobbler.
Can he
in
make us disc
Keyport.
golf shoes?
No, he can't make disc golf shoes. He would have never. He would have told you to get out of his shop. But, yeah, I've bought cheap pairs of shoes in the springtime and the summertime just to wear for disc golf, and then I throw away once they don't feel comfortable. $30 because
Yeah.
You
It
go
doesn't-
through them so quick. It doesn't matter how
it
expensive
almost doesn't
they are.
matter.
We have to make sure your foot is supported also.
Yeah.
Like, not just, are the treads right? Like, do you actually feel good in them? Like, is
That's
your arch
important.
supported? Like, can you really maintain a full day of playing and not
Right.
have achy feet?
Prevent injury.
I'm
Seriously,
gonna,
like, that's-
quote a friend of mine. His name's Johnny Blaze. He says, "If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good." That's it. It's simple.
It's
That's
that
it,
easy.
folks.
It's
That's
that
it.
easy. I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you all for watching, listening to us on audio listeners. That was episode 13. Lucky number 13. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to HyzerCast. Leave us a review if you're listening on any of the audio platforms. Like this video, comment down below on some of these topics, and we'll see you on episode 14.